Sir Ed Davey's here with us to talk about all sorts of things, but primarily, of course, the Northern Ireland Protocol. What would you like to see in any deal?
Well, I want to make sure we sort out the trading relationships. Liberal Democrats want to make sure there is a deal because that would be good for Northern Ireland, it'd be good for the whole of the UK economy. The government's failure to deliver a deal for months, years now, has been a real break on economic success. So if the deal makes sense, Liberal Democrats will back it.
And what does making sense look like to the Liberal Democrats?
Well, we need to make sure that the barriers to trade are got rid of, that there is a deal that all parties can sign up to. We talk to parties in Northern Ireland a lot to make sure we're getting the grassroots opinion from businesses and people in Northern Ireland. And our sister party, the Alliance, are very keen on a deal. We take that into huge consideration because they and the people they represent are the most affected by it. So we'll be listening to people in Northern Ireland, but we also need to take account of British business as well.
Sure. I mean, the Alliance Party and the DUP, very different views on what should be in this deal. The DUP saying they don't want any border in the Irish Sea. Brexit means there has to be a border somewhere.
Well, indeed. That is the logic of Brexit. And the danger is that if we don't sort this out, the level of investment in Northern Ireland, the investment in our own country, will just go down and down and down. And let's face it, our economy is in a mess at the moment. We're the bottom of the league for growth, I regret to say, because of this government's failed economic policies. And that's bad for people. It's part of the reason why people are finding it so hard to make ends meet.
I know, but you're taking me away from my point this morning, if I may, Sir Ed, and that
Sure.
is what is going to happen with the DUP primarily, and thus the ERG, European Research Group. They do not want a border in the Irish Sea. What we're being told is that there will be, albeit a soft border, but there will be a border in the Irish Sea.
Well, you're absolutely right. The DUP and many Conservative backbenchers have been quite ideological about this. They're not being pragmatic. And I think when you listen to business people and to the other representatives in Northern Ireland, they want a pragmatic solution. They want to move on. It seems the Conservative Party is just incapable of doing that. And that's very damaging to our reputation. It's very damaging for our economy. So I hope there can be agreement with the DUP and the ERG from the Conservatives coming on board. We'll see if Rishi Sunak has managed that. What he can know is he puts a reasonable deal on the table. Liberal Democrat MPs will support that, even if his Conservative supposed colleagues vote against him.
He might not get a say in it. He doesn't need to take it to Parliament.
He doesn't absolutely need to in terms of constitution, but I think politically he needs to. I think most MPs, if not all MPs, and certainly voters, would think it'd be extraordinary for him to do this huge deal and not to allow the elected representatives, the people's representatives, to have a say.
How do you think he's managed to get this far with the European Union and people like Liz Truss and Boris Johnson have not?
Well, we'll see. When he puts forward the deal, we'll be scrutinising it line by line. Of course, that's our job. I just hope he has found some pragmatic way forward. It's so damaging not to have this deal. And sometimes people will think, well, it doesn't really matter, it's Northern Ireland. It does matter, not just to the people of Northern Ireland, but to our ability to move on in our relationship with Europe. That's been very damaging, this impasse over Northern Ireland. It's prevented us enabling many of our businesses to have better entry into the European economy. And that's hampering our wider success as an economy. So we really need a deal. We need it soon. And the failure of the Conservatives, whether it's been Johnson, Truss and now Sunak to deliver that, has been a real failure of government.
Sir Robert Buckland, Conservative, previous Cabinet Secretary, now on the Northern Ireland Select Committee, saying to a certain level, Rishi Sunak has managed to get further than the other two because of personality politics.
Quite possibly, and to be honest, that's up to the Conservatives. There seems to be a battle between personalities in the Conservatives, and the reason why I think that's very reprehensible and wrong is there are millions of families and pensioners out there who are suffering with the cost of living, suffering with energy bills. And Liberal Democrats keep arguing the government should focus on the issues that matter to people, whether it's the cost of living and energy bills, whether it's the NHS crisis. And the government keeps taking its eye off the ball and seem completely out of touch with the real problems that people are facing.
To that end, you are suggesting a bonanza bonus. What's that all about?
Well, there's a bonanza bonus being enjoyed by the bosses of the oil and gas companies, and we think that should be taxed, along with the windfall tax on the profits of energy.
So the flip side of the windfall tax, OK.
Yeah, because, we need more help for people struggling with energy bills. The government at the moment, despite millions of people struggling, are proposing to increase people's energy bills by another £500 this April. In my constituency, you've got people who can't afford their rent. We're seeing a large increase in the numbers of people going to food banks. That's the reality, and yet the government are going to increase the cost of living. What Liberal Democrats are saying is, no, we actually should be cutting the energy bills for people.
No, they're not increasing the bills by £500. What they're doing is taking away a temporary support structure that was in place, no? Well,
the support structure called the Energy Price Guarantee is currently £2,500, which means the average household will pay only £2,500, only, huge amount. Mm-hmm. The Conservatives are proposing, despite this cost of living emergency, to increase it to £3,000. Some people will actually see their energy bills go up by £900 with this Conservative package. So what Liberal Democrats are saying is, no, use the money that you have saved, government, that you had put aside for this support, but keep it there. And if you do, and you have a proper windfall tax, you can afford both to cut everyone's energy bills by a lot by reducing the energy price guarantee and give more money to businesses who are struggling and indeed the least well off. So we have a complete package, properly funded, completely affordable, which would cut inflation and boost growth. And
so
I think
you support Liz Truss's economics after all, then?
No. Liz Truss's economics were to give the better off a lot more money. We're not doing that. Our money will be targeted at the least well off.
And your support with our energy bills?
Well, her scheme was just not affordable because you saw the huge increase in borrowing. Well, our fund is affordable. Our proposals are affordable because we use the money that Jeremy Hunt's put aside, but he wants to squirrel it away in the Treasury. We're saying keep it there to help people with their energy bills.
Talk to me about Dominic Raab. He says that if he is found guilty as far as bullying claims are concerned, then he will resign.
I think he should, if he's found guilty. We all await the report. I think we've all been shocked by the number of complaints, but I think it's only fair to see what the investigation finds. Because
previously you had suggested, had you not, that he should step aside until the report...
Yeah, and I still think that. I think it's been quite wrong that as Justice Secretary, above all, Justice Secretary, he's been serving there despite these huge number of complaints. I think in any other walk of life, people would have had to step down during the investigation. I think it's been wrong that he's been in his post during this very serious investigation. And
just before I let you go, how do you think the Lib Dems are going to get on in Scotland now that Nicola Sturgeon is stepping aside?
Well, Nicola Sturgeon, I think, has admirers from across the parties. She was the first woman First Minister in Scotland. And while I and Liberal Democrats disagree with her on many, many issues, one couldn't help admire the fact that she got to where she was. The implications, I think, though, for the Liberal Democrats are pretty positive. We're finding on the doorstep that not just because Nicola Sturgeon's stood down, but the SNP's failures in government in Holyrood more generally, a lot of support is coming to us in places like Edinburgh, in places like the Highlands and Islands. We're seeing a big uptake in support for the Liberal Democrats coming from former SNP supporters and former Conservative supporters.
OK. Are you a moviegoer?
A moviegoer. Well, during the short recess, I went to see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish with my daughter.
How was it?
It was great fun. She really enjoyed it.
Good. Apparently, the one to watch is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'll take my daughter to see it, though.
I wouldn't.